Ba-ba! Hollywood Pictures. It can only go downhill from here. 2 seconds into this movie, I already hate this family. I mean, look at that house. Look how big that house is. That house is huge. Look at that porch. I mean, they probably don't even call it a porch. They probably call it a veranda. Let's go out and drink some lemonade on the veranda. So now they're giving us a grand tour of the inside of the house. It's completely deserted from the looks of it. And I have to say, I'm kind of getting a little nervous right about now. Like, are we going to turn a corner and find a dead body lying in the kitchen? I mean, that's the vibe I'm getting here. If I was a neighbor looking out in the window, looking around, I'd be thinking, I don't know if I want to go in there. I think I kind of want to just call the police and let them do their job. Hollywood Pictures presents, in case you thought they didn't mean it the first time. Yep, that's right, you read it right. See, now I'm drawing conclusions about this woman. I mean, who puts a big plant in the middle of a table? Oh, yeah, my mother. Well, I hate that. I hate that. This is triggering for me already. Oh, look, someone's going on a nice little bike ride. Isn't that nice? Wait a minute. I know this melody. Is this Poor Wandering One from Pirates of Penzance? Who did they think they were fooling? They don't know who they're dealing with here. Music by Graham Revell. Yeah, we already know that's a lie. What is it with this guy on the bike? Okay, now I know something's up with that guy on the bike. As Chekhov once said, you don't put a guy in a hoodie on a bike unless you intend to do something with him. I'm pretty sure that's what Chekhov said. Look at that. Bike guy stops in front of the house. Wonder what he's up to. When watching the credits, I saw that there was someone in this movie called Ernie Hudson. I bet that's the guy on the bike. That sounds like the name a guy on a bike would have, before he goes through town, warning everyone they're going to die a horrible death. That seems like the fate of someone named Ernie. And I bet he's like 70 years old, or, maybe 42. But this is in 1992, back when 42 was like 100. So now we're in the kitchen, and the mother of the household is squeezing her own orange juice. None of that store-bought stuff for her growing family. She's wearing a flannel shirt like she's Paul Bunyan, ready to go whack down a few trees so she can use the firewood to cook the porridge. Upstairs, her husband and daughter goof around and sing show tunes. Gilbert and Sullivan, from the sound of it. It's all starting to make sense. By the way, the little daughter Emma is played by actress Madeline Zima. You might remember she was the youngest child in the TV show The Nanny, alongside Fran Drescher. Interesting. She was in Hand That Rocks the Cradle, about an evil nanny, and then later on she was in The Nanny, about a woman with an evil laugh. I sense a theme here. She kind of looks like she could be a stunt double for Mara Wilson. She doesn't really look like her, but she has similar hair, so back two, they're virtually identical. I think they're a few years off in age, though. You might remember Mara Wilson was also in a movie about nannies, by the way. Mrs. Doubtfire. Seems you couldn't get away from nanny movies in the 90s, and it was always some big deal to have a nanny. It was never just, oh, we have a nanny, and life is just fine. It always had to be some catastrophe at the end. Oh, my nanny went on a killing spree. Oh, my nanny turned out to be my father, dressed as an elderly woman with a bad British accent. So back to the Hand That Rocks the Cradle. The man on the bike tries knocking on the door, but apparently not loud enough to be heard over the opera music floating down the stairwell from the upstairs bathroom. So he tries peeking in the window. That gets the woman's attention. She lets out a screech, and the dogs come running. Or they would have come running if she had any dogs, but she doesn't. Dumb. Anyone with a house that big, and especially anyone planning on hiring a nanny, needs at least 2 guard dogs. But she does have a husband, that faithful little puppy. He agrees to step up and take one for the team. And by now it's apparent that the team includes the baby growing inside of his wife because she's clearly pregnant. 2 seconds later, everything's fine. You don't need to reach for the bat. The strange man in the hoodie isn't Ted Bundy. He's just the guy you hired to build a fence. Oh yeah. Duh. Mother asks the little girl to ask Solomon if he wants a drink. Little girl butchers it by saying, "You want anything?" Well, of course Solomon comes right in and says, "I want a bike." Don't we all? I thought he already had a bike. He must want a nice bike. That was, yeah. Now he just got greedy. Right off he asks, do you want a fence to keep people out, or do you want a fence to keep people in? Which kind of gives me the feeling that this is a completely different movie than what I thought it was. Like, is this like Flowers in the Attic? We're gonna keep people locked in the house? No, mostly she wants to keep people out. Well, if you know anything about what this movie's about, you know she doesn't do a good job of that, and Solomon should have been fired. Nothing funnier than the man who's building your fence making a joke about how he doesn't understand basic math. Hilarious. Skipping ahead, wife's about to have a prenatal exam with a new doctor. That's not good, folks. It's never a good sign when the doctor's new, nor is it a good sign when he sends the nurse out right before the exam. If you should watched any movies, you should know that, but apparently she doesn't watch movies, she just stars in them. Blah, blah, blah. Husband convinces wife to press charges, blah, blah, blah. Doctor commits suicide, blah, blah, blah. Doctor's wife's not too happy about losing her husband to suicide, and even less happy about having to move out of her house because her assets are frozen. And on top of that, she has a miscarriage. Lots of things to be sad about, blah, blah, blah. Wait a minute. Is that lawyer the guy who played Mel Silver in 90210? You know, David's father? I think it is. Wait a minute. I'm doing some research here. Apparently, Matthew Lawrence, who played Mel Silver in 90210, was not in Hand That Rocks a Cradle. Apparently, it was his identical twin, Mitchell Lawrence. I figure they must be identical twins because they look identical. And also, they were born on the same day. And by the way, this is not Matthew Lawrence as in Whoa's little brother. It's a different Matthew Lawrence, spelled differently, Laurance. Regardless, though, it was his twin, Mitchell, who played the bit part. And just because we're tying everything back to Mrs. Doubtfire today, here's another fun fact for you. The other Matthew Lawrence, Lawrence, as in Whoa's little brother, he played the brother in Mrs. Doubtfire, so that's funny. Everything comes back to Mrs. Doubtfire, as you can see. Anyway, getting back on topic. Blah, blah, blah. Widow of the doctor finds out that the woman who clued in the authorities to maybe the fact that her husband wasn't such a great guy is named Claire, and she finds this out from none other than a news report. Stupid journalists, always ruining everything. Blah, blah, blah. Claire would love to build a greenhouse in the backyard for some inexplicable reason, perhaps because she's never seen a horror movie to save her life, and she has no idea of the hell she's about to unleash on her family with this simple request. Blah, blah, blah. Husband, similarly clueless, suggests that the wife hire a nanny because it might be a good idea to have a nanny around if you're going to be outside messing about with this unnecessary greenhouse and neglecting your children. Blah, blah, blah. Solomon? A nanny? Shut up, little girl. Eat your breakfast. You don't know what you're talking about. No. Solomon's here to build a fence and do a sucky job at keeping people out. That's Solomon's job. No. Solomon can't be a nanny. He's not pretty and blonde and particularly evil. So just get that idea right out of your head. Not gonna work. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, wait. This scene seems like it might be important. So Claire's getting her daughter on the bus, realizes she forgot her sweatshirt, tries to catch up with the bus. Good luck with that. And then all of a sudden, seemingly out of nowhere, appears this blonde, beautiful, particularly evil-looking woman. Could it be? By the way, folks, anytime a woman just magically appears out of nowhere, particularly as a bus is driving off, like the bus pulls away and this woman just appears behind it, that's a dead giveaway. Something's up. And as it turns out, this woman, Peyton, has been stalking Claire. But that sends up no red flags because Peyton just wants a nanny position, and Claire has a nanny position to give. So, perfect. Let's just interview her and see what she's got. Now, Solomon, on the other hand, Solomon gets it. He knows what's up. That's what happens when you have a name like Solomon. You just know things. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Peyton comes over for dinner. Little girl is making the salad dressing. Hee hee. Peyton gives the mother a gift of a wind chime. Chekhov says to pay attention. Blah, blah, blah. Nanny pretends to save baby's life when she finds the mother's earring on the floor and pretends that it was in the baby's mouth. Ooh, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I forgot to mention the baby's born by this point. Blah, blah, blah. Peyton gets to live with him? She gets her very own room? Wow. Oh yeah, it's a nanny position. But the mother herself said she's just going to be outside nearby for most of the time. This seems a bit extravagant for someone basically doing the job of a 10-year-old cousin. Blah, blah, blah. Peyton gets up in the middle of the night to nurse the baby. Oh, wait. Peyton's not the mother. This is getting weird. I didn't know it was going to be this weird. I thought she was just going to kill some people here and there. I didn't sign up for this. Blah, blah, blah. Emma is helping Solomon shovel. Chekhov says to pay attention to the shovel. Claire asks for Nanny's help picking out a dress for Claire's dinner with her husband and friends. Apparently, this is part of the job description. I'm pretty sure Mrs. Doubtfire was asked to do something similar. It all comes back to Mrs. Doubtfire. But yeah, apparently nannies, in addition to watching the kids, cooking dinner, and just randomly knitting here and there, are also asked to help dress their grown-up clients. Blah. Claire gets a stain on her dress. Blah. Peyton goes to get club soda to get it out, but apparently that was just so she could have a weird interaction with a guest downstairs. The male friend would love to have some kids for no other reason than to be able to hire a pretty blonde, evil-looking woman in sweatpants to watch them. Wouldn't we all? The female friend, his wife, is played by Julianne Moore. Peyton returns upstairs, but Claire is wearing something completely different now. So apparently Peyton had to deal with those people downstairs for nothing. So much for that useless trip to get club soda. I'd be ticked off too and plotting revenge about now. Blah-de-blah-blah. We find out the reason for the title. Julianne Moore's character says that Claire has given this nanny lady way too much power in our household and quotes some saying to punctuate her point. Julianne Moore's character clearly knows way too much and will have to be dealt with later on. At home, Renee Zellweger's evil twin, Peyton, is corrupting little Emma with scary movies. They form a secret club, because secrets from your parents with adults you just met are super fun and super healthy. They even have a club hand signal. So do gangs. Emma tells Peyton that a little boy has been teasing her at school. Peyton takes care of the problem by putting a fear of God in the 6-year-old. Go Peyton! She's so tough, taking on the bratty 6-year-olds of the world, one bully at a time. Meanwhile, there's been more inappropriate breastfeeding, and Peyton pretending to be the baby's mother at the park. Claire picks up on the fact that the baby never seems to be hungry with her. That's odd. Wonder what's up with that. Solomon figures it all out because Solomon's smart. And also, he caught a glimpse of Peyton nursing in the window. What is it with this guy peeping in people's windows? Peyton decides Solomon is not as harmless as he seems, especially when you have a secret to hide. She lets him know who it is he's messing with, and not long after, the father of the family asks Solomon to join him in the shed. That can't be good. Oh wait, he's just giving Solomon a surprise bike. Oh, but wait. Now the mother is starting to have doubts about Solomon because Peyton's been feeding her lies like some Shakespearean character who feeds the protagonist lies. The mother thinks maybe Solomon is being inappropriate with Emma. She asks Emma if she has any secrets she'd like to divulge, because secrets are not good. The little girl, probably thinking about the devil worshipping she's been doing with her nanny Peyton, gets big-eyed. She thought this kind of secret was okay. Who knew her nanny was feeding her bull? But she doesn't say anything, and the mother assumes the secrets are with someone else. The mother finds incriminating evidence of perversion in the shed when going through Solomon's things at the request of Peyton. So long, Solomon. It's been nice knowing you. Emma's mad because Solomon is her friend. She hates her mommy now. But if anything ever happens to Mommy, she need not worry because she has Peyton ready to step into the role. That's reassuring. Even the baby seems to prefer Peyton to his real mother. He cries with everyone else. In Peyton's arms, he practically purrs. Blah, blah, blah. Peyton thinks Claire is too stressed lately. I wonder why, and would benefit from a surprise party. The husband agrees a little too eagerly. He also agrees a little too eagerly to this woman he just met, suggesting that his ex-girlfriend plan the surprise party. Remember the ex-girlfriend? Julianne Moore? Blows my mind that she and the husband and Claire and her own husband are such buddies. So maybe it's not weird. They're all just one big happy family. But Claire notices her husband has been smoking lately, and he only smokes with his ex, Marlene. She confronts him in the kitchen, not realizing her friends are waiting in the living room to surprise her with a party. The husband informs her that she's made a complete turd of herself. Most anticlimactic surprise ever. The family decides maybe they should go on a trip without Peyton. Maybe Peyton's been causing way too much unnecessary drama in their lives as of late. Who would have thought? Before they can go on their vacation, though, Marlene discovers a secret about Peyton's true identity. She's the doctor's widow. Apparently, the doctor had a very similar wind chime on his as-of-yet unsold mansion. Remember that wind chime that Peyton gave to Claire earlier on? I said that Chekhov would want you to pay attention to that wind chime. This is why. It's the big clue, and Marlene tries to get a hold of Claire so that she can inform her friend about the danger she's in. Peyton reacts to being found out the way any evil nanny would be to being found out, and dumb Marlene behaves in the way all future victims do when they've underestimated the evil nanny. And she gets herself killed in one of the oddest death scenes ever. Death by greenhouse. She gets killed by an actual greenhouse because that's the only purpose greenhouses serve in these kinds of movies. Claire comes home and finds the body. She has an asthma attack. I told you her asthma would come back, but this time she doesn't have an inhaler on hand. She's dropped her purse and is nowhere near it when she starts hyperventilating on the phone with 911. And dear Peyton has destroyed her backup inhalers. Luckily for Claire, and bummer for Peyton, Claire doesn't actually die. The medics arrive and save her life. Claire finds out the truth about Peyton, which the viewer already knew. Congratulations on finally figuring it out, Claire. Claire sucker punches Peyton over a table. Apparently she's been working out at the gym after giving birth, probably hoping to lose the extra baby weight. Poor Emma is losing all of her friends. But she has no time to cry over it because Peyton is not reacting well to being fired. The shovel from earlier comes back. Peyton uses it to attempt to kill the husband and wife and to put out the light in the cellar in the most dramatic way possible. How dare they ruin her life? This is Peyton's family. Peyton's place. Haha, Peyton's place. How dare they? The husband and wife don't die, though. Even the shovel has failed her. And Solomon, for some strange reason, has chosen this moment to reappear at the house and save the day at the exact opportune moment. Must have used his spidey senses. I was starting to think this movie had a lot in common with The Shining. First there was Peyton hacking her way through a locked bedroom door, and now here's the clearly psychic friend coming to save the day at the end. Peyton decides to use a fire poker to kill the family since the shovel was useless. But it turns out she might not need to do much to kill Claire because Claire has another asthma attack. Peyton just tells her how pathetic she is, rubbing it in. This gives Claire the burst of energy she needs to push Peyton out the window. Peyton falls on top of the fence Solomon made. Well, he didn't do a good job of keeping her out, but at least that fence served as something for Peyton to land on our way out. I give this movie 4 out of 5 stars. Out of all the Evil Nanny movies I've seen, it's probably my favorite. It's really tense, the acting is good, and you can watch it for free on Tubi, so check it out. The moral of the story, I would say, is Emma seemed to do fine taking care of her brother in the end, when they were in danger and her parents were off somewhere, trying not to get killed. She took her brother out of his little bassinet and went and hid with him. And I'm thinking, did they even need a nanny? They could have just left Emma in charge.